DC42, Timo the Christmas Tree. Soul-touching and life-enhancing stories. Timo the Christmas Tree, a Christmas story. Once in Santa's singing forest, there were only magical Christmas trees standing. These trees were happy and content, dancing and singing in the snow and winds of peace and bliss. Santa loved his white Christmas trees, and they loved him in return. The love within these trees was so pure and strong that they would shine from the inside out and created crystal shining ornaments of indescribable beauty. The forest was a magical place, and from his round palace, which was standing in the center, Santa would look at his special trees and was content. Among these trees there was Timo, who was questioning for some time if there was something else other than the forest he was standing in. Many times he had seen Santa leaving with his reindeer and returning, and always in a happy mood. One day Timo made up his mind, and his longing to see something other than the forest was answered. A woodsman had come to the forest, and like many of his brothers and sisters he was chopped down and landed up standing on top of a truck. As they drove away out of the forest, it stopped snowing, and after some time he looked around and at himself and discovered that he was not white anymore, but green. It felt a little strange, but he was excited to see so many new things on the road and stopped thinking about having been white and living in the singing forest. After a long journey, he and many of his family members ended up in a huge mall. Timo was overwhelmed with all the new things, the colors and the sounds around him. They were standing outside a shop, being for sale for Christmas. He looked around and saw some beautiful decorated Christmas trees, who were the decorations in the mall. He wished he could be like one of them, and 2 days later his wish was fulfilled. A rich family with several children brought him, and Timo ended up in a big living room not too far away from the open fireplace. Boxes and bags were brought inside the living room, filled with ornaments, lights and other decorations. This was exciting, and for days he was being decorated. At one point he was feeling tired of having to carry all these decorations, but his pride helped him, and even more was added. I can handle this, he was thinking, and looking at the mirror, he said to himself, "Look how beautiful I am becoming." Unfortunately, they kept on adding more and more to the point he could not look outside anymore. From the distance, he could hear the children being happy, and nice music was played all day long. So now Timo imagined how he would look by now, and entered a state of dreaming. One afternoon, waking up from a short, deep nap, he picked up on a conversation about what would happen with him after the celebrations. The plan was to burn him in the backyard in the hole they use for campfires. Oh, he got so afraid, as he didn't want to die, and the same day a solution presented itself. Seemingly the father of the family had come across a way of preserving Christmas trees. Visiting a foreign country, he had bought a product just new on the market, which was to preserve cut flowers, plants and trees, and even Christmas trees. The next days the kids of the family sprayed him with some stinging and bad-smelling stuff. He and all the ornaments as well were sealed in with this see-through stuff coming from a spray can, and he was put into a bucket. And into the bucket they poured the same smelling stuff, but this time it was liquid. A strange feeling came over Timo as the chemical slowly became hard as a rock. The thought that he didn't have to die made it all bearable. The Christmas celebrations were not too bad, given the fact that he could not see much because of all the decorations, but soon after it became harder. Timo was wrapped and put into a big box and stored in the cellar. and he had to wait a full year before he was standing back in the living room again, enjoying a short time of fun. He received more decorations, and this time preserved candy ornaments were the in thing in the world, and of course more angel hair. Timo had a hard time to breathe at times, but when the front door was opened, he was okay again. Years passed, and he became an inheritance piece for the next generations. Timo felt being important, to be that precious item for the family and the yearly but short celebrations, and that all kept him going. Not to forget always looking forward, getting new decorations and being curious, hearing the old Christmas songs in a new composition. During the quiet time of the year he was getting tired and losing the excitement, but didn't know what to do with his feelings. More pain and sadness entered his life. This went on for years. But then one day, the light entered his life again. Standing in the living room of a very modern house after a long evening of Christmas dining and children's fun, he heard a familiar voice speaking to him. "Is that you, Timo, inside there?" "Is that you, Santa?" he asked. "Yes, Timo, it's me, Santa. And I feel your pain and sadness, and I came to bring you a present." Timo felt a hand entering through and in between all the decorations. Santa held a picture in his hands, showing a forest with white Christmas trees, with in the middle a huge and round palace. Snow was falling, and the trees were standing in their beauty with shining crystals. "Does this look familiar, Timo?" "Yes, Santa, but please explain me more." Now, after Santa explained Timo where he had come from, who he actually was, and what had happened, Timo felt the life returning inside of him. "Can I go back with you, Santa?" "Of course, but I can only take that light which is still inside of you with me. The tree you have become and all the decorations need to stay behind. Are you willing to leave that all behind?" But what about the people I've been serving all these years and generations?" "There are other trees like you who are also on an adventure to explore the world outside the singing forest, and they will replace you. People will buy a new tree, and the process of decorating and celebrating will continue." "Okay, I'm ready, Santa. Take me home, please." Again Santa's hand entered, and this time he took the light from deep inside of him in his hand. Some minutes later, he was in Santa's sleigh, pulled by the reindeer racing through the skies, direction home. And as soon as they arrived at the singing forest, Santa dropped them in the snow amongst the other Christmas trees, and within a split second he became a Christmas tree again. Timo was happy and content. Snowflakes were falling on his green body, turning him into white again. Timo started to dance and sing with the winds of peace and bliss. Santa was looking out of his palace window. He too was happy and content, having back Timo, who had been missing for such a long time. What the story could bring us. The adventure away from us, having been everlasting souls, spirits, children of love and lights, or drops of the eternal ocean of love, and in this story, Timo, the Christmas tree. He took on a different body, being the many ornaments and decorations and the Christmas tree, and at one point of time not even recognizing himself anymore and forgetting he actually was an everlasting Christmas tree. God, or any name given to that something eternal, came in disguise as the guide, and in this story being Santa, came to pick him up, to return to the everlasting singing forest.